Tonight's film was one I have been meaning to watch for a while. John Waters is one of my favorite just people, let alone film directors. But I've actually only seen a handful of his films. I think I'm now at about half, maybe two-thirds of the way through. And I always, I saw Pink Flamingos when I was way too young, way too young. And I obviously saw Hairspray and Cry Baby and Serial Mom as a youth because those were his more family-friendly films. Um, but I love his books. I've read almost everything he's written. I think I'm missing one out of print thing. He is so uh, every time I read his thoughts on things or his reminiscences about his childhood or things, I just feel like he's somebody who experiences the world very similarly to me, and I appreciate reading his work. So when Criterion announced that they were issuing Female Trouble on DVD, I was like, done. But we got it on Filmstruck early, so I got to watch it tonight. So you can get this on DVD and Blu-ray from Criterion starting on the 26th, but you can stream it early on Filmstruck as part of the Art of Drag, Dressing the Part theme. Obviously, it stars Divine. And in this film, Divine plays one of her most iconic characters, Dawn Davenport. The film starts in 1960 as she is a teenage girl. It's Christmas, it's about to be Christmas. She gets in trouble in her class. She's smoking in the bathroom. And then she wants her cha-cha heels. This is a scene almost anyone who loves this kind of cinema has at least seen this scene. It's a very iconic anti-Christmas Christmas scene. John Waters obviously loves Christmas. He does a Christmas special. I went and saw it in December, and the one of his monologues, one of the versions of his Christmas special is actually available on vinyl. I own that. She destroys the Christmas tree, runs away from home, tries to hitchhike, gets picked up by someone who she then has sex with, who is also played by Divine. Yes. Then has a child. This child is played in grown-up version by Mink Stole. Mink Stole, obviously, in many a John Waters film. Taffy is her name, and she is such an amazing, wonderful character. Her scenes, Mink Stole is such a great actress, and her scenes are so filled with true emotion. It's a wonder to see because the film is so absurd and heightened, and Mink brings some real depth to everything that's happening in all of her roles. She is so fantastic. So her neighbor is played by Edith Massey. She is a lesbian who wants her nephew to be gay. However, he is a hairdresser who likes women. He meets Divine. They get married. The marriage dissolves, and Divine continues to on a criminal spree with her friends from high school. Meanwhile, the owners of the beauty salon where they met, played by Marion Vivian Pierce and David Lockery, have decided they want to try an experiment where they think that the more violence you do, the more beautiful you'll become, because beauty is violence and violence is beauty. And so they try to get Divine to do worse and worse crimes while they photograph her. This all devolves into an amazing, horrible, wonderful nightclub act where she shoots somebody for art. And the film ends, spoilers if you don't already know this, with her getting the quote-unquote highest honor in her profession, being electrocuted in prison. So that's the film, and it gets more and more absurd in the true sense of the word absurd as the film goes on. It has the most amazing fashion. I believe the costumes and production design were done by Vincent Paranio, who worked often with Waters on these early films. It is one of the most stylish films I've ever seen. Everything everyone was wearing, I was like, I want that dress. I would wear that dress. Give me that. Her apartment, that is not a real apartment, is so amazingly decorated. I'm like, give me all these colors. Where can I get this wallpaper? There's other bizarre things that happen that I won't spoil the whole thing. There's something else I wanted to mention about, what was it? fashion, the makeup, obviously fantastic. Oh yeah, so one, the look of Divine, especially the older version of Divine, was inspired by a Diane Arbus photograph. And if you look it up, go to the Wikipedia page and look it up. It's stunning, the inspiration. It's just amazing. And then there's a scene where Taffy, the daughter, has gotten some money, and so she bought a wrecked car, and she's play acting a car crash with ketchup. And I remember in one of Waters's memoirs, he talks about how he was obsessed with car crashes as a kid, and his mom was like, "All right, I'll take you somewhere," and she used to take him to the junkyard to see the smashed cars that had been in car crashes, because she figured if she was taking him, at least it was somewhat of a family outing. So to see that recreated in this film is just amazing. And another interesting thing to look at, especially 40 years later, is that this film really talks about our obsession with fame and with being photographed and followed, and having your face on the paper in your 15 minutes. And I think that society has not changed very much in its desire for fame. And specifically, if you watch this film in the view of where we're at with gun violence in America, we're kind of in a similar place where people are doing violent things because they'll know they'll get fame, and they'll know people will listen to them. There was this interesting episode of Supergirl that kind of covered that a little bit this week. Yes, I mentioned Supergirl. It's a great show. And it's fascinating to see that, like, or almost depressing to see that 40 years later, we're still dealing with the same shit, and it's all Bonnie and Clyde's fault, right? So anyways, this is Female Trouble from 1975. The version you can watch on Filmstruck and get from Criterion is the original 97-minute cut. It's not the 89-minute version that used to be available on home video. So this is the real full movie. It is beautifully restored. The colors are gorgeous and luxe. The recreation of sort of mid-century chic is amazing. As you head down further into Dawn's decline or ascent, depending on who you talk to, her fashion gets more and more punk in a way. She gets a mohawk. It's amazing. There's this one dress that she's wearing where it's like this beautiful teal leopard print thing, and it's off the shoulder in one sleeve, but then the sleeve is a glove, like a built-in glove. Like, I hope there's a display or a museum somewhere of all of the Divine costumes, because they need to be preserved. They are important artifacts of the 20th century of America. I just need them to be preserved. So, anyways, Female Trouble. It is on Filmstruck. You can watch it. You can get it from Criterion in a couple of weeks. I highly recommend it. If you've never seen a John Waters film, it's a lot. And not everyone likes John Waters. He is not a filmmaker for everybody. So if you don't like the film, it's fine. I love John Waters, so, you know, I'm going to love most things he does. Again, Female Trouble, starring the one and only Divine. Check it out.